Hi, I'm Rodi Srivastava,
I'm Anuradha Nagraj.
and this is The Migration Story.
Last year, close to 200,000 crores came to Kerala. It is equivalent to 25% of the Kerala state income. That's why we call the money order economy to remittance economy. We have no interest on international migrants. We are interested on their money, but we never celebrate the people behind those remittances, recognize the migrant contribution to the society. We started our first study in 1998. We reported that Kerala had 1.3 million international migrants from Kerala. 1.3 million. Out of that, 90% of them were in the Gulf. It is basically what I call them Kerala Gulf Migration Corridor. Out of 10 people, 9 were going to Gulf, either to Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait. The 6 countries in the Gulf were accounted for 90% of migrants. And this continued.
You know how it is when you arrive in a new place and feel like you don't belong there? That hesitation to reckon with a new geography. That knowledge that this place is not mine, these ways of talking are not mine, these silences are not mine, this etiquette is not mine. So many new things to absorb. And the place also takes a little time to accept the new person. Often you have to meet the place on its own terms. Sometimes you have to work hard to earn your little corner in it. Till that place becomes yours, till you find your own equilibrium, there will be a gap between you and the place. From the book Jasmine Days by the author Benjamin. Good morning, Dr. Rajan. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you very much.
For our listeners, we have with us Dr. S. Irudhya Rajan, the chair of the International Institute for Migration and Development, India, and he is also the series editor of the India Migration Report and the South Asia Migration Report for the past 15 years. Good morning, Dr. Rajan.
Good morning.
Perhaps we can start off with the larger Kerala to Gulf migration, maybe talking a little bit about the history and where we are now. I recently watched this Adu Jeevatam, the movie which is premised on Benjamin's book Goat Days.
अंदर से कोई बाहर ना जा सके.
The movie and the book basically make it very apparent what a person's life, especially as a low-wage worker, can be like, especially if they're in exploitative conditions in Gulf countries. But honestly, I think that it can be expanded to many countries in the world that people live in these types of conditions if they are facing exploitation. So, Dr. Rajan, maybe let's start off with a subject that's very close to my heart also, which is on Gulf migration. Can you give us some insights? So, of course, in 80s, there were a lot of people going from Kerala. What is the situation now? And is that still the case? What are the trends you're seeing?
No, I think Kerala's migration started not in 1980s. I think started in 1960s. So Keralites were started moving within the country because there is a link between internal and international migration. I think this is very important for people who are started doing research should know that. It is not like people tried to take a flight first to take a train and then take a flight. So this was the situation in 1960s. If you look at the Kerala people started moving to 4 cities. Trivandrum, there were trains called Trivandrum, Chennai, Trivandrum, Bangalore, Trivandrum, Mumbai and Delhi. Those people who went to these 4 cities are still there. That is why you have large presence of Malayalis in Chennai, Bangalore, Mumbai and Delhi. I was asking some of the people why there was no train from Trivandrum to Calcutta. So both were even ruled by the same political party. They said, no, Calcutta people were leaving their place because there were no jobs. So Kerala also people were leaving, but you cannot go to Calcutta, there is nothing there. So people were going to the what is called the big cities at the time, but Calcutta was a city, but then it could not attract Keralites. So you can see that was started in 60s and 70s. That's why Kerala is called money order economy, money order. I think this money order economy is later being converted into what we call now remittance economy. There is a transition from money order to remittances. And this is what happened when they started moving. When the Gulf opened up in 1970s, basically 1980s, Kerala is the one people are already, they are addict to migration, I call them. They are some addict. They started already out of the house, leaving their wives, leaving their children, leaving their parents, or taking their family with them to settle in Mumbai, Delhi. They're already on the move. When you are taking a train to Trivandrum, Mumbai, why can't you take a flight from Trivandrum, Dubai? It is 3-hour journey. Bombay is take more time. So they started moving to Gulf. I think that is where the Gulf migration started in 1980s. And they were going through Mumbai and Delhi. There were not much flights from Kerala. In fact, when I came to Kerala in 1988 to study migration in Kerala, almost 10 years after that, we started the Kerala Migration Survey. There were only one airport, Trivandrum. So only Trivandrum was an airport, and we had only one flight to Delhi via Goa. There was not even a direct flight from Trivandrum to Delhi. That was the state of airports in that time in 1990s. And then you see that there is an expansion of airports in Kerala. We had Kochi, then we had Calicut, we had Kannur. I think this is very important. That itself indicates the Kerala's Gulf migration story. And then when we started our first study in 1998, we reported that Kerala had 1.3 million international migrants from Kerala, 1.3 million. Out of that, 90% of them were in the Gulf. It is basically what I call them Kerala Gulf Migration Corridor. We call them Gulf Migration Corridor. 90% of them in the Gulf. Out of 10 people, 9 were going to Gulf, either to Dubai, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, Kuwait. The 6 countries in the Gulf were accounted for 90% of migrants. And this continued. The number has gone up. In fact, it went to 1.8 prior to the global crisis. Then it went to 2.1. And right now we are hovering around 2 million Keralites now in the Gulf. But if you look at it, last 25 years, there is only one change I can see. Earlier, it was 90% of them are going to Gulf. Latest round indicates 80% of them are going to Gulf. In fact, I was telling Kerala government and many policy circles, you have to diversify. You have to diversify your migration trends. You are putting everything in Gulf. Something happened to Gulf, then you are in trouble. So it is better you invest your human resources and send to other countries. And I am glad that finally I have seen the limelight that 20% of the Keralites are now outside the Gulf region. I think this is something happened over the last 25 years. And similarly, Kerala used to send mostly low-skilled and medium-skilled. In fact, in 1998, I think 80% of the Keralites who went to Gulf are less than SSLC. You can imagine, less than SSLC means they are, all went with the ECR passports. In fact, ECR passport in 2023, there were nobody going from Gulf with the ECR passport because Kerala has reached almost a full literacy rate and everybody going to study till 12th standard. So nobody requires the government of India ECR clearance. I think it is time that government also close this ECR passport business.
A quick note, ECR and ECNR in this conversation refer to emigration check required and emigration check not required, respectively. In essence, a list of countries, currently 17, were noted to, according to the MEA website, quote, not have strict laws regulating the entry and employment of foreign nationals. They also do not provide avenues for grievance redressal, end quote. Emigrants are hence required to go through a prior emigration clearance process if they wish to migrate to these specific countries for work. Those who have passed class 10 and above in school do not have to pass through this emigration clearance process.
This is something I talked to the government to remove this ECR, ECNR pattern in the new immigration bill which is coming up, because you should have only one passport. You cannot divide people into divide the people into two passports based on the education. I think this is a very sad way we are doing it. I think it should be scrapped. It should be abolished. I think it will happen in the new immigration bill, which is going to come up in the parliament at any time very soon. So if you look at that, two things have happened over the last 25 years. Gulf to non-Gulf, low skill to high skill, and there are more women picking up migration. Of course, remittances has gone up. Last year, close to 200,000 crores came to Kerala. It is equivalent to 25% of the Kerala state income. That means 25% of the income earned outside coming into Kerala and into the economy. It's a very huge money. That's why we call the money order economy to remittance economy. This is the one of the economic implications of migration, because I think everyone believes, that's why there are a lot of goals, sustainable development goals linked to migration, because migration first benefits the individual. I go to Gulf, I started eating well. First, I improve myself. That is the first category of the implications, individuals. Then I started sending money to my family. So the individuals, it slowly the impact goes to families. Then it goes to the villages where they live, what we call them communities, and then the economy, then the state. It's like like in we call them, that what is called the multiplier effect. The multiplier starts with the individual and then end up to the whole society. That is the economic implications of migration. Of course, every benefit, there is a cost. The cost is what I call them the social cost of migration, which is we call emotions of migration, because people never migrate, but they are affected by somebody's migration.
Yes, Dr. Rajan, I really liked your framing of the emotions of migration, because as you said, and I can really picture this also, because as you know, my home state is Tamil Nadu, and I often go to Kerala. And I can see from the description you've given of Kerala as a state, how so many people, even if they haven't emigrated directly, their family is affected by migration in some way. Maybe someone has migrated a few years back. Maybe they want to migrate. Maybe they're dependent on their children's education for through remittance money that a family member is remitting from overseas.
Dad, I am finishing my homework essay on coal. Vanita ma'am said coal causes air pollution. Do you think all mining should stop immediately to save the environment?
Coming to recent years, policy discussions have emphasized the urgent need to decarbonize and move away from coal owing to its adverse implications for the environment and due to the climate crisis. More specifically, what does this mean for the working class dependent on the sector? And finally, when we speak of countries like India, can we really describe just transitions in the same way that several global north states do? Hello and welcome to L is for Labour, your source of information for all things labour.
Only on the migrationstory.com.
You mentioned instead of 90%, now say 80% are going to the Gulf from Kerala. Where are they going more as per what you're seeing? That's my first question. And my second question to you is, I remember you mentioned going to a labor camp back in Dubai many years ago. So what was that experience like?
Yeah, I think people going from Kerala to Gulf is on the decline. We like it or not, it is on the decline. Partly due to the demographic change is happening in Kerala. And you look at it, Kerala has currently is probably the lowest population growth rate in the country, and it will be a negative growth rate in another 10 years. Of course, thanks to the internal migration, people coming from other states pouring in to Kerala, and they are just maintaining the growth rate. Otherwise, Kerala would have been long back, like what is called the depopulating state in the country. So now Kerala is surviving because of the internal migration. So Kerala has now no more people to send because the age structure is changing. In fact, Kerala had a negative growth rate in age group 0 to 4, 5 to 9, 10 to 14, 15 to 19, and slowly we are getting into 20 to 24. That means we have less people in all these age groups. Kerala used to have 600,000 births born every year, around 20, 30 years back. And last year, we are ending up with less than 300,000 births. So the births have come down by 50%. So that implications are now coming to the adult age. But I was expecting at least during COVID-19, there will be a baby boom in Kerala because 17 lakhs Malayalis, came home, because when the Second World War people came home, there was a baby boom in some countries. I thought that probably Kerala will have a baby boom, but Kerala people failed me as a demographer. They could not increase the birth rate. I thought something they may do because work at home includes also having babies. But unfortunately, Kerala failed. Unfortunately, Kerala failed. But the point is very important is that as long as Kerala has not many people to send migration, now the other states are picking up, mostly the demographically less advanced state. Kerala, Tamil Nadu, all demographically advanced states. We call them demographic dividend. Now, demographic dividend or the demographic window is almost in the closing stage in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, the southern states. Now, the northern state, that window is just opening up. So, it will be open for next 15 years. So, next 15 years, the migration will start from UP, Rajasthan, all the northern Bihar. Now, the problem I worry is that these states have no prior big history of going to Gulf. They will be exploited left and right. This is something I am afraid of. So we know nothing about those states which are sending people now. There are flights now coming directly to Lucknow, directly to Patna from the Gulf countries. What are type of people they are sending? Probably these countries, almost a similar position of Kerala's migration 30 years back. What Kerala was in 2000, now these countries are experiencing in 2025. So Kerala is ahead in 25 states in terms of international migration. Other states are lacking of 25 states. But what they can learn from the Kerala migration story or Kerala migration survey, I think it's right time all these big states, which are going to be the future migration corridor, I think we have to immediately undertake a migration survey in those states. Otherwise, you are going to walk in darkness without anything happening there, any idea on migration. They will end up in exploitation, which was happening to Keralites in 1970s and 80s. When the Keralas went, many of them were being, not paid salary. And that brings me, after we did this Kerala migration survey in 1998, as I said earlier, it is a silver jubilee year for us. At the time, when we finished the study, the Kerala government was given us 5 lakhs to go and take up a study in the Gulf countries. Kerala government, because Kerala government was the only government had a Department of Non-Resident Keralites Affair, Non-Resident Keralite Affair, and the secretary was Mr. Amitabh Kant, who was later become the important person in the Nidhi Aayog. Amitabh Kant was secretary who visited the Center for Development Studies when we did a presentation in 1998, and he said, "You have done your study, and your study indicates a lot of Keralites are going to Gulf. Can you go and look at the Kerala migrant situation in the Gulf?" So I think I took, in fact, first time I took a white passport to go to Gulf, and I visited, and there was an ambassador. We had a lot of meeting. Of course, many of us told us don't go to the camps because camps are not supposed to be go there because you cannot go and study anything there. But then we thought we'll visit 1 or 2 friends in the camps, and I visited a camp in close to 1999 time, and we wrote a paper in 2000. And when I went to the camp, and there are 3 points were made by the migrants. What were the problem Keralites were facing at the time? 3 issues. 1, they said the contract was not honored. We sign a contract here, but that contract has been, normally the contract is renewed or rewritten, so we sign a new contract. That was the first point they told us almost 25 years back. Second point they told us was that the promised salary, what they were promised while they were in Kerala, suppose they were promised, say, 50,000 rupees per month. When we arrive here, they will say that salary we cannot pay. You want to go back, you can go back. We may be able to pay you only 30,000 rupees. Now you have to decide you want to be here or you want to go back. But then many of the migrants have already invested money, what I call them the recruitment cost. People spend 1 lakh, 1.5 lakhs to go to Gulf. So they become what is called they agree for the lower wages. They continue to work there. That is the second point I noticed, or I was told by the migrants 25 years back. And the third one was that Even the salary what they promised after reaching the 30,000, that is not paid. That is not paid. I think these were the three characteristics of the migrants who were working not just in the UAE. This was true in the whole Gulf countries. This is just because I could not visit all other countries, but I can tell you this was happening in all the countries in the Gulf. Contract changed, promised salary not paid, and salary not paid. Of course, the passports were taken. They said all our passports are with the employer. So I spoke to one of the employer. He said that this is the only security for us, sir. They leave us, what we'll do. So once we hold their passport, then they cannot go. I think that was, they were telling me that 25 years back. But imagine when the COVID-19 time, people were running back from Gulf to India. And we had 17 lakhs people came to Kerala. And immediately we did a study with returned migrants. I asked them, please list me 3 problems you faced in the Gulf. The 3 problems, what they told is, our contract have been replaced. Our promised salary is not paid. And even salary, what they said they will pay, they have not paid. We created a concept called wage theft during COVID-19. And I was thinking, what is happening? 25 years, there is no change. 25 years, I think this is something to look back for India too, because India has signed several MOUs, several agreements with the Gulf countries. Why we are not able to change these particular 3 problems? I think this is very important, partly because I think that not just the Keralites, even the people from Bihar, Rajasthan, I see them, they are going in a large number to Gulf. They think they are earning more than what they earn in India. I think that is the, that is called, what you call them in economics, wage differentials. Wage differential. They think they are making little extra money than what they make in India. I think that is a myth now, because I spoke to several people, the salaries in the Gulf has come down. I think in fact, some of the people can make more money in India than Gulf. So I think this is something that requires evidence-based research. Evidence-based research. If you are doing policies without research or evidence, I think that is what happening. I think we should talk to the people. We should go and take up some studies. We can't go. We can talk to the returned migrants. They can provide information about what the salary was, what was paid. I think the salaries have come down in the Gulf, especially after the global crisis. I think 2008, after the global crisis, and it was down. I don't think that it has reached that pre to the 2008 level in some sectors. And of course, the COVID brought again a bad situation for migrants. I think the number of people going to Gulf probably come back pre-COVID level, the number. But I'm not sure, are they earning salaries pre-COVID? I have some suspicion on that. I think now I would put it is not just true in the Gulf countries alone. Probably it is happening even in Europe. In UK, in Australia, in Canada. I think everywhere, I don't think that migrants are getting what I call them the same wages of the citizens. Is the Indian migrants who goes to Australia get the same salary like an Australian who gets, are holding the Australian passport? Are they getting it? If they are not getting it, why? If they are getting it, this is very great. That should be reported. Then we can say, look, this country, they get equal wages. Why not in other country? I think we need to look at the migrants' rights, migrant issues, because it is very unfortunate. All of us are talking international migration, not because we have great interest in international migrants. I'm very sorry. We have no interest on international migrants. We are interested on their money. I think that attitude should go from people, from families, from government, everybody. We are celebrating remittances, but we never celebrate the people behind those remittances. I think we failed several times, and we have seen at many occasions. I think time has come to recognize the migrant contribution to the society. We are only putting them as what is called the, like the cow giving the milk. Of course, when the cow don't give milk, what you do with the cow? I think that is very important. That's why I talk about returned migrant rehabilitation. I think this looking at international migrants as a money man, they are sending money to India, they are helping the India to grow. I think this is all fine. I'm not against that. But please do remember the people behind those money working hard. In fact, I used to tell several times what the money they are sending, that $100 billion, it is not a black money. It is a blood money. They are working in a very hard conditions in those countries, very hard climate, overwork, they are sweating, and that money comes to our country in the name of remittances. I think it is time for us to respect those migrants behind those scenes who are contributing for remittances.
In the past, one would have been arrested for wanting to leave. Now that nobody was stopping us from emigrating, we were no longer welcome on the other side. The only thing that had changed was the color of the police uniforms. We risked being arrested not in the name of our own government, but in the name of other states, those same governments who had urged us to break free. The West had spent decades criticizing the East for its closed borders, funding campaigns to demand freedom of movement, condemning the immorality of states committed to restricting the right to exit. Our exiles used to be received as heroes. Now they were treated as criminals. From the book, Free, Coming of Age at the End of History by Leah Yippee.
My last question to you, and then perhaps you can just add in anything we may have missed to discuss. My last question to you is, you've touched upon this several times, the importance of having data on international migration, like who is going where, and doing that. And of course, I've also followed the Kerala Migration Survey for a long time. So can you perhaps tell us what data you think is really key and missing right now that we should push for in terms of, you already touched upon it. And then finally, any last comments from your side?
No, I think that these numbers are important. Even basic numbers we did not have. For example, take the example of the Russia invasion of war. You can look at it. That time we were no clue on how many students are there. I think these numbers are really important. Even forget about the characteristics of migrant. I think that we can look at it. How many women, what age, what type of skills they are going. It's all important. But even we don't have basic number. For example, today you ask anyone in Uttar Pradesh, how many Uttar Pradesh people are currently in the Gulf, and the answer will be no. Or they will give you some number which is not the number based on anything. It is, I call them guesstimates. I think time has come to look at the number, because that will tell you the government have shown some interest on migration studies and migration thing. Yeah, this is very important. That is where, in fact, when I started working on migration, I thought, why there are not even many institutions or NGOs working closely on migration. In fact, there were no funds earlier to do even work on migration thanks to COVID-19. I think I have to really congratulate the COVID-19 brought lot of changes in the mindset of the people who are funding migration research. Now there are a lot of funders to work on migration. That is due to the COVID-19 came into our country. I think the COVID-19 brought us some lessons for migration. I think then the COVID should come again and again to tell people, look at migrants, because the migrants were directly affected during COVID-19 compared to any other people in every part of the world. They brought the attention of migration that period. I think that is very, very important. We need some database on migration. I think very important. That is where even we built this institute. The International Institute for Migration Development was, just launched 7 years back, because we felt there is a big space for doing migration research, migration ideas, migration related things, migration funded research, migration scholar, capacity building. These are all very important. That led to not this only institute. I brought what you have introduced me called the India Migration Report every year. Last 15 years coming with their leading publishers in the world, Taylor and Francis. And every year there is a special theme. We work on that. Last year theme was student migration. Maybe we'll bring a theme on irregular migration, maybe after 2-3 years back. I think very important we put a theme that will also help the new people who want to study migration. They can look at this India migration report. Third thing, starting up a journal called Migration and Development. Now it is a 13-year-old, because migration has several facets, not just demography. It has economics, it has sociology, it has history. Now it has more politics. Today the world is talking about politics of migration, elections, manifestos, America first. All are talking about migration. Now we are talking about even language role in our country. In fact, I told several people, look, earlier we used to divide people by religion and caste. Please don't do by language, because the migrants have no language. Every city in this country have 40 to 50% of them are migrants, not belong to your state. They cannot speak your mother tongue. If they are not speaking, you have to accept that. I think migrants have no language. So that's why I am writing even an article now saying that don't play politics with language. We have played with religion and caste. Please leave the language, because it is going to affect migrants. I think these are all we can do it with the database. I think this is very important to have a database. The final point I also wanted to tell, researchers pick it up, research, but we need larger database. I think people should be convinced by the different states, different stakeholders to invest money on studying migration. Today, India is number one in terms of remittances, $120 billion. If you put, they are giving you $120 billion money comes to India. You put 1 billion rupee, you can have India migration survey. You are not going to invest, what they are giving, you invest them, say 2% of the money back, giving the money back to understand those people who are sending money. This is where we are not doing. We should do, every state should do. Kerala, we received 200,000 crores. And when I told the Kerala government, we need a study to do a Kerala migration survey, the government asked, what is the cost? We said 1.7 crore. Not even single question asked. They released the money, there was a survey, and then it was released by the Kerala Chief Minister. And that shows he believes migration is important. That's why he always tells, migrants are the lifeline of the Kerala economy. This is what the statement he makes. I don't make. I'm supposed to make the statement. But from the study, what we have done, he is making the statement. Migrants are the lifeline of the Kerala economy. He is making the statement because of the data we given to him. I think this is where we work with the policymaker, and I think every state, every chief ministers, every the union minister, they should invest some money to understand their migrant. In fact, I was telling one day to one of the MB, you should have at your MB level, we have 600 plus MBs. Do you know what is your constituency, migration constituency? How many people in your constituency are migrant household? Do you know that? So we should have a data not by districts on migration, by constituency, so that these MPs can play a major role in the parliament, ask questions and help the migrants to come back, because they are the lifeline of the many household. May not be lifeline for the economy, but they are the lifeline for the household which has sent migrants. I'll stop here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Rajan. And I think that sort of very thoughtful articulation of migrants and how we need to look at migrants as the kind of lifeblood, not just of Kerala, but of our larger economy, given that they contribute so much in terms of remittances, but even in terms of cultural contributions, like you were talking about language and migrants not having one language. It's so true, because migrants can basically speak multiple languages often. And this was what was very interesting for me living in the Gulf, because that is where I grew up also. And I remember communicating with so many people through Hindi, which is not necessarily my main language, but that's how my Hindi has also slowly become better over time, because I have migrated so many times. Even with people who are from the Gulf, so with many Arab descent folks. So that is one thing. Or even then sometimes meeting migrants from other parts of South Asia and another country, and then our only common language is Arabic. And I think we need to remember that a lot of benefits accrue from embracing that diversity and that kind of fluidity of identity, because one thing doesn't cancel out another, right? Like you can speak 3 languages and it doesn't mean that one is better or worse than the other. I think that that's what enriches our cultural experience as humans also. I mean, without migrants, I always think, what food would we eat? I mean, imagine how boring life would be if you had access to only one type of food. And we have migrants to thank for that. But Dr. Rajan, thank you so much. It's been such a fascinating conversation. And we will look forward to seeing more of your work, of course, in the future.
Thank you.
Check out our website www.themigrationstory.com for more content. You can subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and Spotify. The audio editing and sound design is by Akshay Ramuhalli. Stay tuned for more stories on migration.
The Migration Story.